With Colorado approving a return to the Big 12, what will happen to the Pac-12 in the future? The Colorado Buffaloes are set to depart the Pac-12 in 2024 after 13 seasons with the conference returning back to its home, the Big 12. With Colorado leaving to the Big 12 and USC and UCLA leaving to the Big 10 in 2024 as well, what will happen to the remaining 9 teams? In this video, we'll go over 7 different future scenarios or possibilities that may happen with the Big 12. These scenarios or possibilities may also interact with each other, so they're not exclusive. In general, with the Pac-12 conference in turmoil, what is their future gonna be? Over the last 2 years, they've been getting picked apart. Will they continue to get picked apart? There's speculation and talk that the Big 12 is eyeing potentially 1 to 3 teams in addition to Colorado to join the Big 12 from the Pac-12. It's speculated that Arizona is one of the front runners, with Washington and Oregon close behind. There's also a possibility of Arizona State and Utah. There's been talk that they want to have the 4 corner schools, which would be Colorado, Utah, Arizona, and Arizona State, but Washington and Oregon also allow bigger brands to join the conference, in addition to, say, Arizona. The Big 10 can also come back into play and pick some teams up as well. They were interested in Washington and Oregon to an extent, and also Stanford and California. With them bringing in the USC and UCLA, they might also want to expand to other portions of the country on the West Coast. Why they might not want to do that is they might want to leave their options open for potentially taking teams from, say, the ACC or other parts of the country. But with 9 teams and no guaranteed future media rights contract on board and no exit fees currently because of the media rights contract being up in 2025, it does seem like it's easy for the Pac-12 to be picked apart. If they don't get picked apart, depending on if they continue to get picked apart or not, they might want to look at merging with a different conference. Back in 2021, there was talks that the Pac-12 and Big 12 had merger talks. Granted, that fell through, and it seems like the Big 12 would rather just take their cake and eat it too than taking all the spare parts of the Pac-12. They could potentially merge with the Big 12, depending on how many teams are still left and what the associated benefit is. If it isn't the Big 12, there's 2 additional conferences that might be of benefit in this situation. The Mountain West Conference, with schools ranging from Colorado westward, and the American Athletic Conference, which range from Texas all the way to the east. The Mountain West Conference has schools in San Jose, San Diego, Fresno, Reno, Nevada, Las Vegas, Utah State, which is in Provo or Salt Lake City area, Boise State, which is in Boise, Colorado State, which is north of Denver, Wyoming, which is just on the opposite side of the Colorado border of Wyoming, so the southern eastern corner, Air Force, which is Colorado Springs, so about an hour south of Denver, and then New Mexico. With the Pac-12 already dominating the West, they might want to just control the Western landscape by merging with the Mountain West Conference. The Mountain West Conference does have 11 teams, so it's not necessarily too congested. 11 plus 9 on the current state of things for the Pac-12 would be 20 teams. Yes, that could be looked at maybe a little bit too much, but that is the headed and trended direction of where these conferences are going. Larger, more impactful conferences with impactful teams and regions. Whether that be regional conferences or nationwide conferences, this could be good for the Pac-12. There's been talks of teams moving from the Mountain West to the Big 12 anyway, with the likes of San Diego, potentially Colorado State, San Diego, and more. Why not merge the 2? If they continue to lose teams, it would be more sustainable to merge the 2, as let's say they lose 3 more to the Big 12, you'd have 6 plus 11 is maybe 17. In any case, they would dominate the western portion of the region. A different conference they would merge with, or could potentially merge with, is the American Athletic Conference. The American Athletic Conference has 14 full teams for football and 15 for basketball. The one that doesn't have a football team is Wichita State University, which is located in Kansas, and the other 14 do have football teams or are full members. Now, the American Athletic Conference did just get rated by the Big 12, so a lot of their more important and bigger teams did leave. And that would be the likes of Central Florida, Cincinnati, Houston, most recently, UConn did leave to become independent, and then previously before that, they lost Rutgers and Louisville in 2014. With merging with the American Athletic Conference, you would range from east to west coast all the way across, and you'd have pretty good brands in there and cities. The only region that you probably wouldn't be touching very well would be the Great Lakes region. However, with being a national recognized brand and solidifying yourself as a top 5 conference and maybe even top 3 or 4 at that point, it wouldn't really matter as your media rights and TV rights would be expanded and well known. The issue with merging with the American Athletic Conference, and again kind of with the Mountain West, is brand recognition and how much of those teams are bringing to the table. A team like Oregon, Washington, Stanford, California are obviously worth more than, let's say, UAB, which is Alabama, Birmingham, or maybe a team such as like East Carolina or Memphis. Some of these are recognizable brands, but they might not be worth a lot from a media rights standpoint. So besides merging with the Mountain West, the AAC, and potentially the Big 12, in addition to potentially getting picked apart, what other options are there? We did mention there were 7, and we already went over 4. They could add teams and expand. This would solidify them as a conference and put them in the right direction. Well, where would these teams come from? They would probably come from the Mountain West or the American Athletic Conference, of the likes again of probably San Diego State, UNLV, Boise, Colorado State, SMU, which is in Dallas area, Memphis, maybe a Florida school such as Florida Atlantic or South Florida, Charlotte, which is over in North Carolina, maybe Rice, which is in Texas, Tulsa. All these schools would be coming from those conferences previously mentioned. The Big 12 already rated the American Athletic Conference, and unless a different conference, say the ACC, starts to go under or have turmoil, there really isn't a lot of big schools or well-known schools left to choose from or pick apart from. In addition, with potentially adding schools, a good example and more recent example of San Diego State is exit fees. If they want to exit the conference, they might have to pay penalties or exit fees to the conference for media right violations or other violations that the conference puts in place. San Diego State's exit fee was just north of $30 million because they didn't meet a deadline and went up to north of $50 million, and now it goes back to $30-ish million around 2025. That would be the same for any Mountain West Conference, and it obviously would be different for the American Athletic Conference or any other conferences. So there is that tidbit where if they do potentially want to add new members, if they stay at, say, 9, it might not happen right away. It might happen years down the road when the Pac-12 is earning more money or those fees are less. Their 6th option is to do nothing. The do nothing option would assume the 9 remaining teams are going to be the 9 remaining teams, and they create a foundation or platform where they are the Pac-12 or Pac-9 or whatever they're going to call themselves, and just go from there. Now, granted, like stated at the beginning of the video, if they do nothing, they might add teams a decade from now or 5 years from now or merge or something of that nature. But the do nothing option is basically solidify themselves so they can get a media rights deal and solidify what they want to be or what they will become in the future. Then the last option, which could occur if teams continue to leave, would be to fold. If you don't have enough teams to have a conference, you're not going to have a conference. And if you can't merge with other teams or add additional teams, you're going to have to fold. That could be a real possibility, especially with the fact that they don't have media rights set up beyond 2024-25, whenever that current deal does end, which means teams aren't guaranteed money and they're not guaranteed visibility. College athletics and colleges want to have stability to an extent and have guarantees. Their best option for that would be the Big 12 at this point, with them getting north of $30 million guaranteed from the media rights partners with the Big 12, which I believe is ESPN. So there's a real possibility that the Pac-12 might just cease to exist. Before that happens, there could be a merger with a different conference. I'll admit that would have to be approved by all the teams that are still left. I'm not sure if Oregon, Washington, and Colorado, Stanford want to be playing with the teams that are in the Mountain West or teams that are in the American Athletic Conference. They might think they're too big and too powerful and too well known and too important to be a part of those types of conferences and those types of teams, but we shall see. So to quickly go over and summarize the video, the 7 possibilities and scenarios would be a merger with the Mountain West Conference, merger with the American Athletic Conference, merger with the Big 12, add teams, aka expand, continue to get picked apart, aka lose more teams, do nothing, and create a foundation, so basically 9 teams, and go from there. And then the last, but probably most unfortunate, would be to fold or cease to exist. With this ever-changing dynamic of conference realignment, there's sure to be more videos about this as news comes out. Feel free to comment down below if additional things come out or if you have information that we don't at the current moment. Like the video and subscribe for more videos. Thanks for watching.